Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a really unexpected source. We often think of these explorations as, sifting through dense research papers or maybe complex reports, but sometimes the most profound insights, they really come from the most delightful places. And that's exactly where we're headed. We've got an excerpt titled Summer School for Superheroes. Just try framing it in your mind as this fascinating look at where heroes go when they're not out saving the world and, what they learn when they're simply going to class. So our mission for this deep dive is to extract those powerful nuggets of knowledge about what it truly means to be super and how even the most unusual situations can teach us really invaluable lessons about like adaptive problem solving, leveraging unique strengths, and maybe the surprising power of just, well, consistent practice.
It's a brilliant premise, isn't it?
Yeah.
It immediately makes you wonder, how can a story about a secret school for these budding heroes actually illuminate real-world principles
Yeah.
of growth and skill development for you? What can we learn about our own talents, even the ones that seem, well, kind of inconvenient sometimes?
That's the core, isn't it? Finding those universal principles in the most unexpected places. And this source, it definitely delivers. I mean, the setting itself is just wonderful. A secret school that, get this, floats on a cloud high above the mountains. It's run by the truly wise and wacky Professor POW. Talk about a commute, huh? And the students, oh, they're quite the ensemble. Each one has their own distinctive and sometimes, frankly, rather challenging powers. So, we meet ZAP Girl. She had this tendency to sneeze lightning. Just imagine the potential for accidental damage there.
Oh, yeah. Zap. Oops.
Right. Then there's Captain Crumbs. He could fly. Fantastic power, but only if he'd just had cookies.
A highly specific fuel source,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Seriously. And Invisi-Boy, his power meant he had a habit of disappearing during roll call. Must have made attendance a complete nightmare.
Just vanishes. Present. Poof.
And finally, Lila Lava. When she got nervous, she would melt pencils. Poor girl.
What's fascinating here is how each of these seemingly unwieldy powers, these like inconvenient talents, they actually prove to have immense value later on. The source subtly highlights something often missed, I think, in traditional team building. It's about how embracing and strategically adapting around these apparent limitations, like ZAP Girl's sneeze or Captain Crumbs needing cookies. Adapting around them can unlock these really specific creative solutions that maybe conventional strengths might just miss entirely. It's about finding that hidden utility in what we first perceive as, maybe a flaw or a problem.
Okay, so how do you even begin to train heroes with such wildly different, sometimes really inconvenient powers? Well, their daily curriculum offers some truly fascinating answers. It sounds like this blend of pure fun and genuinely practical skills. They had Cape Control 101, which honestly sounds absolutely essential for avoiding tripping hazards during, heroics.
Can't be tripping over your own cape. Not a good look.
Definitely not. Then there were rescue riddles. These were specifically designed to teach creative problem solving, getting them thinking outside the box. And then there's power practice, which involves, saving rubber chickens from inflatable volcanoes.
Right. It sounds utterly bizarre.
Totally bizarre, but you have to wonder, what particular aspect of their agility or maybe their strategic thinking was that quirky exercise designed to sharpen?
Exactly. It's not just rote repetition, is it? It's more like a form of adaptive practice or maybe situational mastery. They're forced to apply foundational skills, but under these highly unusual, unpredictable, and importantly, low-stakes conditions, like the rubber chickens. That's how you build, I think, true resilience and that problem-solving muscle, not just, brute strength. Learning new things, even really critical skills, it can actually be an enjoyable process. And this quirky curriculum perfectly illustrates that.
And it was precisely that consistent, if unusual practice that really prepared them. Because one day, their emergency drill, it turned very, very real. The specific threat, a giant jelly monster that escaped from the school kitchen.
A jelly monster.
Of all things. I know, you can almost hear the staff just panicking.
Well, yeah, the initial reaction from the adults. Reportedly pure chaos. Understandable, maybe. But this is where the narrative shifts focus entirely. Onto the students. This crisis, what seemed like, an unmitigated disaster, it became this incredible, immediate opportunity for them to apply everything they'd been learning and perhaps more importantly, to leverage their unique, often challenging talents through synergistic teamwork. What do you think was the turning point for them, that moment they shifted from panic to action?
I think the turning point was realizing that their combined quirks, That was the solution, not just one hero saving the day. And that's exactly what they did. They came up with this truly collaborative and honestly, surprisingly elegant solution. So Lila Lava, right. Instead of melting things in panic, she actually cooled her lava.
Yeah.
Not to destroy, but to strategically trap the jelly monster. It's an amazing twist on her power.
Completely flipping the script on her ability.
Nice. Then Captain Crumbs, ever vital, shared his essential cookies. But not just so he could fly, he used them to calm the monster down. Who knew cookies were a monster tranquilizer?
Apparently, Professor POW's kitchen makes some very calming cookies.
Or maybe the monster just had a sweet tooth.
Could be. And Invisi-Boy.
Yeah.
He leveraged his disappearing act brilliantly.
Yes.
Snuck behind the monster, pressed the off switch on the jelly machine. Just pure genius stealth work.
Simple, effective, using the power perfectly for the situation.
And of course, ZAP Girl's lightning sneeze.
Ah.
Previously a liability, right. It provided the triumphant finishing touch, sealed the monster's fate. Bam!
Well, you know, this specific incident, it's a perfect case study. In like emergent leadership and distributed problem solving, each student's power was so specific, so niche. They couldn't operate in silos. They had to work together. It wasn't about a single leader directing traffic. It was more like a spontaneous, adaptive orchestration of these highly specialized skills. It really highlights the power of true interdependency over just, mere cooperation. It shows how teamwork, creative problem solving, and that consistent, maybe weird practice, those seemingly odd daily lessons, how they all converge to build real collective strength, not just individual power. And Professor POW's ultimate declaration after the whole thing: best class ever.
You could just imagine the pride, right? After the initial panic, of course.
Absolutely. So, okay, what does this all mean for you listening? If we connect this charming story to the bigger picture, the core learnings are actually quite profound. First, it's clear that even the most unusual talents, those seemingly inconvenient ones, they have immense value. It's not just about recognizing them, but strategically adapting how you use them, finding the right context. Second, real strength isn't just innate power, it's forged through the consistent application of creative problem solving and highly collaborative, interdependent teamwork, relying on each other's quirks. Third, learning new things, even critical skills, can and absolutely should be an enjoyable, maybe even whimsical process, like saving rubber chickens.
It certainly makes learning more memorable.
Definitely. And maybe the ultimate lesson here: being super isn't really about the powers you possess. It's about how you choose to combine and leverage those unique abilities, especially in service of helping others. And that's our deep dive for today. We set out to extract some truly insightful nuggets of knowledge from a pretty unexpected source, and I really think we succeeded. The deep dive aims to give you that shortcut to being well-informed, even from something as delightful and, frankly, illustrative as a superhero summer school.
Right. Which leads to maybe a final thought for you to consider, a provocative question perhaps. If being super isn't about the specific powers you possess, but rather how you creatively adapt and combine those unique abilities to help others, then what unusual talents or even perceived inconveniences do you possess? Think about it. And how might you apply them, maybe in unexpected ways, to solve problems or help those around you, no matter how small or how large the jelly monster in your path might be? Something to chew on.